Welcome back to the channel today, guys. We are going to talk about the Canon R6. I've had it a little over 2 years, so I want to do a review. So let's get started. So after having the Canon R6 for 2 years, this is by far the most advanced, technologically advanced Canon camera I've ever owned. In fact, it's the most advanced camera of any brand I've ever owned. It is a fantastic camera. We got it some years ago for some shoots that we had coming up. My main camera at the time was the Canon 6D, and that's an older full-frame Canon, if you're familiar with it, DSLR. And this was a mirrorless, and with the things we had coming up to shoot, I wanted to jump to a mirrorless camera. Well, when I first got it, you know, when you first get any new camera, you're pretty well familiar with it, because I've been in the Canon lineup since 1983, since I started with my first Canon AE1. But this camera offered so much, I spent a few weeks in the menu. It just does everything. And I'll tell you what sold me the most on this Canon R6, despite all the stuff it just does fantastically, is the low light abilities. This camera, I can shoot at a wedding up to 12,800 pretty comfortably and know that I might maybe have to use a little topaz, but very little, up to 12,800. Now, if you go above 12,800, some of the noise grain is going to start to show up, but 12,800 and down, especially 6,400, I won't have to use topaz at all. 12.8 is iffy on the topaz, but 12.8 is just, that is a huge ISO. I mean, back when we used to shoot film, I remember when Konica came out with their ISO 3200 film. We thought that was just crazy. And this is, what's that, 32, 64, 12.8? That's 2 stops more, the 12.8 over the 3200. And that Konica 3200 was grainy film, not near as sharp as the 12.8 on the R6. It has 2 shutters. It has a mechanical shutter that'll give me 12 frames a second, which is more than I've ever needed for anything. It'll do a electronic shutter at 20 frames per second, which is way more than I've ever needed. And I usually, if I'm doing that, I will go to mechanical, because electronic, you can kind of get the wobbles with a baseball. If you've seen them moving, it'll kind of be a little bit wobbly, a little bent. So I try to avoid the electronic, and that's pretty much with any electronic shutter in any camera. But the 12 frames per second in the mechanical was all I ever needed. Hey guys, I just want to take this second of your time. If you guys would please hit like and subscribe, it would go a long ways toward helping our channel and help us keep making these videos. Thank you. I shot some pictures for you guys to see how this camera looks at night. So let's run those pictures right now and have a look at them. There you go, guys. So you were able to see just how well this camera does in low light. Now, it will go up to over 200,000 ISO. I didn't run it near that high because there's no need to shoot. I mean, unless you're shooting in a dark room with no light on, you won't need 200,000. That's almost like seeing in the dark. So I didn't even go to 100,000. We know that the low light ability on this, and for what I was doing, weddings and that sort of thing, the low light is very, very important. So I can say without a doubt, for what I was doing, the Canon R6 and the Canon R6 Mark II would probably be my 2 top choices for cameras for what I was doing. Now you can say, well, how about the Canon R5? I think it has, off the top of my head, I think it has like 45 megapixels. That's a guess, don't quote me on that. And that is a great camera too, but having a full frame of 20 megapixels, the pixels are bigger, so they're able to capture more light. I believe my Canon R6 will be about a half a stop better under low light than the R5. So, you know, if somebody disagrees with me on that, leave a note down the bottom and we can talk. Now, I know if I go cropping in half of my image, I'm going to be down to 10 megapixels. And if you take an R5 and crop it in halfway, you're still over 22. So you'll win the cropping battle. But if you shoot it right to begin with, you won't have to worry about cropping away half your megapixels. If you're a photographer and you're shooting weddings, you should never need, unless there's some special occasion, to crop in half of your image. You're not shooting right. You need to learn how to shoot if you're having that problem on a consistent basis. But I want to go over a few more things about this Canon R6. Not only that, this is probably the most comfortable camera. And I've got a grip on it so that I can let go of it at a wedding, just carry it like this. And then this fits right on a tripod. But the handle, especially with the battery grip on here, it was like it was made for my hand. It's just one of the most comfortable cameras you can ever carry. And Canon's kind of known for their grips being just really top-notch. It's nice, you know, if you've got a big heavy lens on here, like for a while I was carrying the Canon 24-70 f2.8. That's kind of heavy, and after about 8-10 hours, this old guy starts to get tired carrying that around. But I have two batteries in the bottom of the battery grip because these digital cameras do go through some batteries. I think I had a total of, I have like 10 total batteries, and when I get to a wedding, they're all charged, so I just keep them going. I don't wait till they die. I keep them charged and new ones in the camera the entire time and keep two in my pocket. That way, if I end out in a big field shooting pictures and the batteries go dead, I've got two in my pocket. So there is so much about this camera that I cannot remember off the top of my head. So I want to tell you guys a few things that kind of stood out to me. I'm not going to read you a spec sheet, but I'm going to look at sort of the spec sheet and tell you the things that really were important to me when I bought this camera and important to me when I was using the camera. We went over the ISO, which is just a huge, huge benefit. It's got the fully articulating screen, which is hugely important when you're making videos on yourself, or if you're, I've noticed when I get to a wedding, you know, everybody's dancing, you hold this up as high as you can. I can flip this down toward me. That way I can see what the camera sees pointing right at me. And that makes it really nice to catch everybody dancing. That's a very cool thing. I like the way they did that. It has 6,072 focal points. That's a lot. I didn't count them all, but that's what it says. But usually the detection on this is so good that I never had to worry about it. I mean, it wasn't perfect. In fact, I did a video of me outside. We'll run that right now. As I got too far to the corner, it lost me for a second. Now, I did have it set to slow because I think it looks a little more cinematic when I go out of the frame and then come back, and it takes it a second to focus in on me instead of just jumping immediately. So let's run the video of me outside walking toward the camera, and you can watch how the focus follows me. So let's run that. All right, guys, now the R6, one of the things you're going to hear is the amazing focus that this has. So I don't know, 20 yards. I'm not terrible with distance. I'm a good ways from the camera, and it's just going to follow my face. And the R6, to me, is one of the best wedding cameras you can get because it's just the right amount of megapixels at 20 so that you get good low light. You've got 12 shots per second on mechanical shutter, 20 for digital or electronic, 20 for electronic. But watch the focus as I come in. I'm going to see how close I can get. Can you still see me? I'll see how close I can get in there. Oh yeah, there we go. So we'll go from the side, out of the screen, and we're back in there now. How we look? We'll try to go from the other side, out of the frame. And now I should be back into your picture. It's bright out here. I can't really see the little screen. I don't have the monitor on top, but you can see how the focus will follow you no matter where you go. The Canon R6 is a just beast of a camera. The Canon R6 and the Canon R6 Mark II, in my opinion, two of the best wedding cameras made. Because you can't beat the low light. I don't think hardly any camera can beat the low light on either one, the R6 or the R6 Mark II. So anyway, that's enough for the focusing. We'll go back and we'll talk about the R6 some more. Inside, I'll come up faster and see. By the way, I've got the Canon 50mm RF on there. And you can see I'm set at 12500 f2.8 ISO 100. So let's head back into the studio. All right, now that was not too bad. It's pretty amazing with the eye detection of what this thing can do. And I'm shooting weddings. Pretty much somebody walks in front of me, it grabs their eye, they're in focus, I can shoot the picture. It's unbelievable, actually. It's just a fantastic camera. Oh, let's see, moving on. Now, it'll do 1/8,000th shutter. Now, some people say, you know, they wish it went a little higher than 1/8,000, but 8,000 is plenty for me. I don't need any more than 1/8,000th of a shutter, so that's fine with me. I know some cameras will go up to 16 and even 1/32,000th, but 1/8,000 always did me just fine. Camera Decision has it rated at 14.3 for dynamic range. That's 14.3 stops of dynamic range, which is really good. It held up really well. I never had any issues with the dynamic range. I think it did a fine job. I think this camera came out in 2020, so it makes it about 5 years old, but 14.3 stops always served me well. And now, when you get into video, now I bought this camera specifically for photography. The video came later, but 4K, it'll do 4K 60 with basically no crop. It's like 1.03% crop, so it's barely noticeable. Most cameras will add a big crop when you go to 4K 60, especially the ones around this year. But this camera at 4K 60 frames per second, an unnoticeable crop. It just does. It just blew me away when I got this camera coming from the 6D. Now, I loved the 6D. It was a great camera, but the technology advancements on the Canon R6 it just blew me away. And the one thing I love about this camera is it has 2 storage spots, and on top of it having 2 storage spots, both storage spots are SD cards. I don't have to get into the CF fast cards that are so expensive. I can use 2 SD cards, and that saves a lot of money, and I love having 2 cards. If you're photographing a wedding or big events that you're getting paid for, I know it's rare that memory cards go bad, but they do go bad sometimes, so it's important to have 2 cards. If at all you can afford it, make sure your camera has 2 memory card slots, because that is really, really helpful. I use mine to record duplicate to both cards. If I'm doing RAW and JPEG, both RAW and JPEG are going to both cards. I like to have duplicate backups. You guys have heard me talk about backups since I started this channel, but I love being able to know when I'm shooting a wedding that when I pull out a card, if it goes bad, there's another card waiting there for me. And the odds of 2 cards going bad at the same time are pretty low. Knock on wood, never happened. So that was good. But yes, it's you guys know the stress and the pressure when you're shooting a wedding. It is so nice to have 2 cards in there at one time. Now, the camera also has animal eye tracking. I never did a lot of animals, but it's on there. Animal eye tracking, vehicle tracking. Again, I never did a lot of that, but it's on there. And then, of course, tracks the eye. Somebody comes walking by, it'll follow their eye. So the camera is just absolutely, now, it's not perfect. My Canon 6D, you've heard me talk about that camera a lot, because I really love it. I think has just not much, and you'd probably have to put them side by side to tell any difference. But the Canon 6D and the Canon 5D Mark II both had a color science that I haven't seen in cameras since or before. The color science from the R6 is great, don't get me wrong, but the 6D and the 5D Mark II just had a little something about their color science that I haven't seen in a camera since. Again, 99.9% people aren't going to notice that, probably even if you put them side by side. But if you're super picky like I am, you'll notice the difference just barely. But it's still nothing to complain about. And no one ever complained about any of the colors. They were fine. No issues there. I just wanted to say the comparison is not quite to the 5D Mark II or the R6 in the color science. But again, I don't know of any cameras that are as good as the 6D and the 5D Mark II at color science. So there you go. Now, the battery life, they say you can get about 360 shots with one battery. That's why there are 2 batteries in there, because the DSLR that I used to use, the 6D, I could put 2 batteries in and shoot pretty much an entire wedding with just those 2 batteries. But there's so much electronics on this camera, you're about 360. That's why I've got 2 batteries in there. That brings it to about 720 frames per second. And then, like I said, I have 8 to 10 more to the side waiting. They're already charged and ready to roll, so there's no problem. It's no problem to keep 2 extra batteries in your pocket, because you might not always be, your battery might go dead and you might be a long ways from where your batteries are charging. So keep 2 in your pocket. They're fully charged. That way you don't have to delay the wedding or whatever to go get some more batteries. They're in your pocket. Just switch them out and you're good to go. The viewfinder in this is excellent. It's just astounding. Now, one thing, it's got the Canon FV mode, and I don't think I ever made any videos about the FV mode for Canon. I need to make one because the FV mode, everybody talks about aperture priority, shutter priority, and manual, but Canon has FV, and it is a really neat setting. In fact, I'll try to do a video on that in the next few days so I can show you guys. If you're not familiar with the FV setting, it's really nice. I don't know how to explain it. It's a mixture of manual mixed with aperture priority mixed with shutter priority. It kind of all stirred together, but it's very cool what it'll do. And again, I'll try to get a video out on that in about the next 2 weeks, so you guys can check that out. It is weather sealed, but I don't know to what extent. It doesn't say exactly. Now, I do know I was photographing a school, and it was homecoming, and it was raining, and it had been pouring. I mean, torrential rainfall at first. Now, I wasn't out during the torrential rainfall, but I was out on the sideline shooting while it was still raining, and the camera has done fine ever since. So it's somewhat weather sealed. I don't know to what extent, but it did survive that night and did not miss a beat, so I was thankful for that. The school that I was shooting was one of the high dollar accounts and was worth more than, obviously, a camera. But I took the chance, rolled the dice, no problem, it worked fine. Now, the one thing it don't have is a pop-up flash. Most of your Proline cameras don't have the little pop-up flash. If you want a little flash, I did a few videos lately on some of the Godox. Godox makes these little flashes, like this is an IM20. It's little if you're traveling, not for pro work, but if you're traveling, you just need a little flash on top. You can put something like that on there, and you'll be just fine. This camera, another downfall of the camera is the HDMI. It only has an HDMI mini, and you guys that are in the video, you know what a pain that can be right there in the side. It's the mini, so that means it's going to come loose instead of having a full-size HDMI. So if I could change that, I would love to have a full-size HDMI in there to make a little bit of difference. Like I said, I mostly when I first bought it, I bought it for 100% photography, and then as we've gotten through the channel, I started using it more and more for video. But a full-size HDMI would be nice, but it's not there. But it's not the end of the world. I think these, just the body only, not counting the grip, but I think they were $2,500 when they were brand new. You can get a used one now for around $1,500, $1,600, and that is a bargain for what all this camera has to offer. So I won't drag the video out. Just know that I do love the Canon R6. It has served me very well. No complaints here. No major complaints anyway. Never missed a beat. Now, there are a few small things to know if you're getting into the Canon R line of cameras. If you're buying new lenses, you will be stuck buying Canon's RF lenses. And those are either low-end budget lenses, a couple $100, kind of plasticky. But if you want like a Canon 20, I know they're 28 to 70 f2 is about $3,000. So they are very expensive if you're going with the RF line of lenses. Now, the one way to get around that is you can spend $100 and get an adapter. You can take all your old Canon EF, which was the last set of lenses that Canon made. There are tons of them out there. They're everywhere. You can get them used, and you can get them at good prices. And the adapter makes no difference. There's no quality fall off. There's no focusing issues. It works like a charm. Just wanted to mention that because if you jump into the R line of cameras and you try to buy a new all RF glass, it's going to cost you a fortune. So spend $100 on an adapter and use some of that EF glass, and it works great. Some of the EF glass I like better than some of the new RF glass. So a matter of opinion. So, you know, you can decide if you've got tons of money and you want all RF glass, jump in there and buy it. If you're trying to save a little bit, jump in the EF. And even your Sigma EF that might have worked on one of your older Canon cameras, it'll work on here also with that adapter. So the adapter goes a long ways and saves you a lot of money. So with that said, guys, I'm going to end the video. I'm going to run just a few pictures. I think it's less than 10 pictures of some pictures that I shot with this that I really do like. But I would highly recommend this camera to anyone. If you're a photographer and getting started, and you want maybe a used camera, this would definitely be one to look at, because you can find one of these for $1,500. You've got a bargain on your hand, especially if you buy from like KEH, because you can get a 6-month warranty, and then you don't have to worry about it. And I think they have where you can add additional time for the warranty. I don't know the prices on that, but it does come with a 6-month warranty. And while you're at KEH or on their website, you can also look at some of the used EF glass that you might want to put on your new R6. It did a fantastic job for me. Never let me down once. It's so advanced. I don't know that I even ever learned everything that this camera would do. It does so much stuff. The menu just goes and goes. It's not a hard menu to understand, but it's a big menu. So there's a lot to offer because there's so much technology in the camera. But I highly recommend the camera. The downfalls, the HDMI mini I didn't like, and the RF glass is super expensive. That's about the only bad things I can say about it. Other than that, it's a wonderful camera. I appreciate it, and I will end the video running just a few, less than 10 pictures that I shot that I really liked with it. I appreciate it. If you guys have any questions about the R6, or if you have the R6 and you like it, drop a note down at the bottom, let us know. I appreciate it, and don't miss this Saturday's video. We have a big announcement coming this Saturday, so let's don't forget to watch that. I'm looking forward to that, and it's a video I never thought I would be making. So anyway, guys, I appreciate it for helping you out. Give us a thumbs up, hit that subscribe button. You guys have a fantastic day. Thanks.